need that space. You want that momentum. You need that space that the guy on the outside is occupying. And sometimes if you crowd him just a little bit, you can get in there, and that's what Johnny decided to do.
And we talk about how good the outside here is because of the extra banking, and so you get a lot of good bite up off the corner on the outside to keep that momentum up.
I've heard a lot of drivers call this a momentum racetrack. As a matter of fact, 9-time series champion in the ARCA Racing Series, Frank Kimmel, yesterday said, I compare it to Michigan. It's got wide sweeping turns that I've got to keep that momentum up in the turns. And so we're seeing a lot of guys run a little bit higher and have success with it.
Absolutely. And there's a great battle for 12th right there. Mike Skinner, our winner last year, and James Busher. And how impressive has James Busher been since he jumped in this truck full-time in the series?
Yeah, Mike says what a difference a year makes. Mike sat on the pole a year ago and led about 180-some laps en route to winning. So he knows how to get it done here, and this year racing along in the 12th spot. Now, Phil, I think that he can still get that thing tuned up and get up and contend for this win. We've talked about pit strategy, maybe getting 2 tires to gain some of that track position. So it's early in the going. We see Austin Dillon dominating, but there's still a lot of racing that's going to go into seeing who's going to get the checkered flag here in Iowa.
James Busher looking to the inside of Mike Skinner there in that 31. His last 4 races, a 2nd, a 4th, a 6th, and a 16th. So very impressive runs for James Busher.
And that 16th was, he ran a lot better than that finish indicated.
You can see him working the extreme low side of the track, just like Johnny Sauter's doing here on Matt Crafton. Let's see if Johnny decides he's going to have to crowd Matt like he did Timothy Peters. He's down on the low side of the track.
I don't think his teammates, they probably ought to crowd each other on the racetrack, especially early on. But he might.
Well, he might crowd him and say, that's my teammate. He'll give me a little room.
We've seen issues all year long with teammates in all the series in NASCAR.
We sure have. Working lap 28 here at Iowa. And more on Crafton. Let's go to Ray Dunlap.
I talked to him just before the race started, Rick, and he said last night in the ARCA race he was terrible tight through the first 2 runs, and then when they put tires on for the final time with 50 to go, his car went very, very loose. He said he wasn't sure if that's a product of the Hoosier tires or the changing conditions on the racetrack. So they're still scratching their heads a little bit today about exactly what will happen. But in the early stages of this race, Crafton said he's about a 3 on a 1 to 10 scale of tight. Krista?
Ray, something you said in the pre-race really stuck out to me. You were talking to Todd Bodine and the fact that the only time he's finished outside the top 5, Martinsville, is short track. This is the only other time all year we've been to a short track. Iowa Speedway, just under a mile. Todd Bodine said he was embarrassed by their run here last year. They went to Gresham Motorsports Park to practice this setup. He said he's even borrowing some things from Mike Skinner.
Todd's currently in the 7th spot. Looks like a pretty competitive truck. These are the teammates having a tussle.
It hadn't been settled yet. Johnny Sauter still looking to the inside of that 88 of Crafton.
Heard Crafton have to pedal the throttle that time up off the corner. Looked like he lost the front end a little bit.
You know what happens with teammates sometimes, Rick? You assume that if you need a little room, your teammate's going to give it to you. Well, that assumption sometimes leads to trouble.
Well, sometimes that other teammate assumes that you won't take that extra room.
That's it. It's always something. It's a difference of opinion. You know, I thought he should have. Well, I thought you should have. And the next thing you know, we're crashed.
Meanwhile, that's great side-by-side racing here, though.
Carl Chevrolet on board the number 13 for Johnny Sauter this week.
There he goes. Look at the run through the center of the corner. Will Matt give him the room? Yes, he does. That's teammates. Early in the going, Johnny's faster. He had a good run through the center of the corner. Why force the issue? Roll off the gas and let Johnny Sauter have that spot.
Stacy Compton back behind the wheel of the 60, running a limited schedule this year. Narain Parthikayan will be back behind the wheel of the 60 a little bit later this season.
Another solid run, remains up in the top 10, 32 laps into this race. We talked to Stacy in the pre-race show and saw that the fact that he's actually changed manufacturers this year. They started out the season with Toyotas, then made the switch to Chevrolets. They've been very, very competitive. Narain has done a great job on that truck. 13th in his debut at Martinsville.
Mario Goslin there in the Tire Monkey truck. He's getting ready to go a lap down. Austin Dillon just marching through this field.
Mario Goslin running 21st, so currently 21 trucks on the lead lap. Austin Dillon, since the drop of the green flag, has been the dominant Camping World truck. He has led every lap, all 33. Brian Eichler running second now as he's been able to get by Eric Almirola, Greg Pursley, and Johnny Sauter, your top 5. Make sure to tune in to Wind Tunnel tonight at a special time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Dave Despain and all the tunnel heads will be joined by co-host Chad Knaus. They have guests of Ray Evernham and Darrell Waltrip on that broadcast with them tonight.
ODW, that's my brother.
First caution of the day has come out for the Camping World Truck Series. It happens on lap 39, and that's because Steve Wallace cut a right front tire, and into the wall he went.
Yeah, Rick, let's take a look at what happened here. Steve was just riding along there, and all of a sudden the right front went down.
And, you know, that happened at probably the worst place it could have built. Dead in the center of the turn. You can see you roll in there, and look, the right front tire looks fine. Boom, there it goes flat.
And look how that thing almost turns dead right. It really goes straight, but as a driver, you feel like it turned right.
That's exactly right. You can see this thing just abruptly go the wrong direction.
Yeah, and there was no contact between Steven and either one of these other two trucks. When it goes down, though, thank goodness for those safer barriers.
He was running 18th at the time, and he was about to get lapped because Austin Dillon was coming up behind him. Our Aaron's lucky dog, Michael, goes to David Starr.
Making dreams come true, a free pass at a time.
And here comes Austin Dillon, race leader, on to pit road. Right behind him.
All of our leaders to pit road.
The 18 of Brian Eichler, who was running second. So the field making their way on to pit road. Ray.
Matt Crafton is in at my end, Rick. He wanted to get an air pressure change in the left rear, and he's also going to put 3/4 of a round of brake towards the front, trying to get through the center just a little bit. Let's go to Krista.
The three of Austin Dillon had planned to stay out, but they decided to come in. He said he's just a little bit loose in. Meanwhile, Brian Eichler, the 18, also coming in. Brian Eichler had that wiggle early. They said everything's okay now, just some small changes for the 18.
Austin Dillon able to win the race off pit road quite easily.
You know, Phil, I wonder if that blown tire on Steve Wallace made those guys change their mind. You know, the caution comes out, a right front tire blows. Maybe they say it's 30, 40 laps. Let's make sure we don't have a wear issue on that right front.
Especially since we don't know exactly why that right front went down.
And again, the reason we're under brake, the 15, Stephen Wallace, right front tire blows, and straight into the wall he goes. Stay with us here on Speed. More racing coming up.
It's Camping World's destination recreation.
Hopefully by now you've had an opportunity to visit one of Camping World's great retail locations. I mean, these stores are jam-packed with 10,000 different items that you might want to get to make your RVing experience just perfect. But sometimes you don't have the opportunity to get to the store, and we have a solution for you. You can get out your computer and log on to campingworld.com. At that site, they've got all kinds of great specials. Now, if you came into the retail store, you might see the monthly flyer. Well, online we have great specials like that also, but you can sign up for email alerts, special coupons, and some internet-only specials. And another thing you can do when you're on campingworld.com, you can set up your very own RV rental. It's really convenient, and I think this internet thing might just catch on.
Camping World Destination Recreation Sweepstakes back better than ever. More prizes, more chances to win. All you have to do is go to campingworld.com/racing for the official rules. Coming out of turn 4, green flag back in the air. Austin Dillon on the inside, and outside him, Brian Eichler.
Eric Almirola took a peek to the inside for just a moment, thought better of it.
Can Eichler hang on the right rear quarter panel of Austin Dillon and keep him pinched down? No. Austin makes a strong exit off turn 2 and resumes his lead.
Good pit work by the 30 bunch for Ty Bodine to get him out in the 4th position.
See Eric Almirola looking on the inside of Eichler there. Looks like that truck's tuned up well on this restart.
How much of a concern was the green racetrack after we had some rain, the jet dryers out there, to maybe a little bit of tire wear early in this race?
I don't think we had enough rain really to wash much of the rubber down. You can see the racetrack still looks awfully black from the rubber. Sometimes you get a little of the jet fuel residue, makes the track slick for a little bit, but with these 36 trucks on the racetrack, that goes away pretty quick.
Yeah, I think they were pretty confident about what they had, and I didn't hear any talk in the garage area about tire wear, so maybe that's an isolated incident. You remember last night, Rick, in the ARCA race, the Venturini cars both blew right front tires. So I believe Eric Almirola might be a little bit nervous about his truck, realizing that Steve Wallace, his teammate, blew right front in just 40 laps. We'll have to see what his truck tells him.